Welcome back to the Saturday special. I'm Scott, synonyms, silly stuff saying words that start with S. So, which MacBook Pro should you buy, the 2018 or the 2015 MacBook Pro? Well, before we begin, let me just plug myself real quick, because remember, if you plug yourself and you are self-promoting, it's okay if you make a joke about it. So don't forget to check out my Twitter down below. Sometimes I tweet things. My most favorite tweet I've ever tweeted in the history of Twitter was tweeted on Friday. So check out that tweet. That's a little teaser for you. So which MacBook Pro should you buy, the 2018 or the 2015 MacBook Pro? Before beginning this video, I do want to say that I'm currently using a 2015 MacBook Pro. It's back there recording the audio for this video. And I have used a 2018 MacBook Pro. My friend actually bought one for like $1,600 used locally, and then I was able to use it for like a night. I got a little bit of use out of it, so not as much as I would have liked to have gotten out of it, but I was able to gather my thoughts on it. And really, what I'm going to be talking about in this video isn't necessarily coming down to what I know when I use the laptops, because a lot of the things are actually kind of similar. So which one should you buy? Let's go over the pros and cons real quick. The pros of the 2015 MacBook Pro are going to be price. Used market should be a lot cheaper, especially compared to the 2018 MacBook Pro. You should find them for around $800 to $1,000, and that might even be with one of the dedicated graphics cards. And like I said, $1,600 was a very good price for a 2018 MacBook Pro that my friend bought, but more likely you're gonna probably find it for around $2,000. But if you find it for $1,600, can't fault you for buying that one. But there are a lot of negatives that you have when you do buy a 2018. We'll get into those later. But the 2015 is a little bit cheaper. While it's less powerful, it does come with some of the older ports, USB Type-A. It also comes with Thunderbolt ports, headphone jack, MagSafe. To me, not a big deal. But I do understand people that carry their laptops from place to place to place, having to remember a dongle. Maybe after a while, it isn't that hard to do, but I know that it's probably not the easiest thing to be like, oh, I gotta make sure I grab my dongle today, instead of just being like, oh yeah, I'll just plug that into my MacBook, or I'll just plug that into my computer, instead of having to always remember a dongle. While USB Type-C is the future, there are a lot of standards that won't catch up to that for a very long time and may never catch up to it, such as like an SD card slot, or a lot of music producing equipment is still on like USB Type-A, maybe even Thunderbolt 2, which leads me into my next point. Thunderbolt 2 is still a very capable port, and you get a lot for it, and it doesn't really cost that much money. For example, Apple's 5K display that they sell now used is like $800-900, maybe $1,000. The 4K display is a little bit cheaper, probably $500-400, but you could find a cinema display for like $100 to $200, and you can even find a Thunderbolt display for like $200 to $300. So you do get the advantages of having the older ports. So stuff that's a little bit older, which is still just as good as the stuff that's new, but the new stuff has just been adapted to the new form factor, is always going to be a little bit cheaper compared to the newer stuff. So there's a pretty big advantage there, where all the old ports, you do get to take advantage of them. And while you could get an adapter for the MacBook Pro, the USB Type-C Thunderbolt to mini display port Thunderbolt 2 adapter from Apple is like $50 or $60. It's ridiculous. So you do save money there. To me, the ports changes isn't the biggest thing, but there are advantages with having the older port selection. Along with that, we're going to go with the keyboard. While this is probably the lowest hanging fruit, get it, it's an Apple joke, because Apple's a tech company and also the name of a fruit. That was terrible. You do get the better keyboard, and while it's better by some people's standards and not better by other people's standards, it's more reliable. So whether it's actually a better keyboard or not doesn't really matter, because if you can't use your keyboard, you can't use your computer, and vice versa. So if you have to constantly be sending your computer into Apple to have them fix the keyboard, you're not really even using your 2018 MacBook Pro. Instead, you're probably going to be using a 2015 MacBook Pro that is still probably powerful enough for what you need. So the keyboard obviously is huge, but now we're going to get into the negatives. Obviously, it's older. This is a 4-year-old computer that you're spending $1,000 on, $800, $900. 2018 MacBook Pro, while more expensive, is brand new. It's the newest MacBook that they sell, and it does have a lot of the new great features that, well, great, relatively great. So the 2015 MacBook Pro is old. Keep that in mind. The hardware inside of it is literally from like 2013, so it's older hardware. But that doesn't mean it's bad hardware, it just means it's a little bit older. Next, let's talk about performance. The 2015 MacBook Pro is not going to perform as well as the 2018 MacBook Pro in any category ever. It's got a slower SSD, in some cases less RAM, a less powerful CPU, a less powerful graphics card, a technically worse screen, smaller trackpad. Everything about it is older. It's technically worse, But is it actually worse? It doesn't really matter. But the good news about that is because the hardware might be a little bit older, it doesn't make it not usable. So 2011 MacBook Pro is still usable in 2019. So in 8 years, the 2015 MacBook Pro in like 2023 still might be very much usable thanks to Intel and their lack of innovation, especially on the mobile front, and really just consumer grade products in general, where they capped you at 4 cores forever. And really, core count only helps a certain number of people that need a bunch of threads that are running like VMs, I believe, VRs, VMs, virtual machines, and also video editors, etc., etc. But if you're doing like Photoshop work, the 2015 MacBook Pro and the 2018 MacBook Pro are going to be relatively comparable, especially because they both have pretty fast SSDs, albeit a little bit faster than the 2018. Next will just be, again, the older age, so it might get support for a little bit less long than the 2018 MacBook Pro. While I don't think that's a bad thing because you're saving so much money, some people might think it's a bad thing. Let's get the 2018 positives and negatives. 2018 positive are going to be a 6-core processor that comes standard with every model. It's the 8th gen Intel chips. It's the best chips you can get in a mobile computer from Apple to date. They are extremely fast, they are extremely hot, but they are extremely fast and powerful. Next is every 2018 MacBook Pro comes standard with a GPU and a relatively decent one for mobile standards, especially with Apple's really good use of Metal and AMD CPUs, so keep that in mind. Some of the 2015 MacBook Pros do not have dedicated graphics cards, and they're just stuck with Intel onboard graphics, which are just not as good as dedicated graphics. That's enough said, but will run cooler and will not get throttled nearly as much as the 2018 MacBook Pro will. Next is Thunderbolt 3, obviously alluded to this earlier. Thunderbolt 3, 40 gigabits per second or 32 gigabits per second, whoever you ask, is twice as fast as Thunderbolt 2. So eGPU usage and anything that requires a lot of horsepower through the ports will be supported through Thunderbolt 3 with these MacBook Pros. They can power 5K displays, whereas the older Gen 2 Thunderbolt port could not do something like that. So definitely keep that in mind. It is something to remember, and it's more future-proof. And obviously, it's a little bit more expensive too. But those are the positives of the MacBook Pro 2018. I mean, it's a pretty good laptop, bigger trackpad, worse keyboard, but overall pretty good laptop. But let's get into the negatives. The negatives are going to be the reliability issues with the MacBook Pro. I've already talked about this a little bit earlier, but the keyboard failing is huge, especially if you're somebody who uses the keyboard on your computer. Now, I know that that's not everybody, but most people use a keyboard on your computer. Now, not everybody, but most people. But really, it's a pretty big deal. It really is the lowest hanging fruit ever, and I kind of get annoyed when people talk about it, but it's something to mention with the 2018 MacBook Pros. Apple sort of acknowledged that they messed up, but they didn't really apologize for it. It was just like yeah, and we messed up, but like, you know what I mean, buy our products. New credit cards. Next, we're going to talk about the screen reliability issues, and I'm not quite sure if this has happened on the 2018 MacBook Pros, although it will if it hasn't happened already. The stage lighting effect that happens where the cable inside of the computer that connects the logic board to the display is breaking relatively consistently and relatively early. I mean, think about a laptop that's only 2 or 3 years old that was $2,000+, and the display is being broken, and there's no easy fix to this because it's all integrated in. You can't just switch out the cable, you have to switch out the entire display unit, which is absurd. So definitely keep that in mind. These are thinner, lighter, more powerful computers, but with the sacrifice of a unreliable keyboard and an unreliable screen. Next is going to be pricing. Again, I always mentioned this earlier, it's going to be more expensive, or if you just buy it new, it's going to be way more expensive. But if you were to purchase it used, it should be had for around $2,000 plus, which is twice as much as the 2015. I could buy 2 2015 MacBook Pros and edit half of a video on one, half of a video on another one, export them at the same time, and then finish way before the 2018 could. Obviously, that's a ridiculous scenario, but you understand what I'm saying. The money savings is just not quite there. Also, something to remember is the new MacBook Pros only come with the single cable, and they don't come with the extension cables that come on older MacBook Pros. So if you need to be at an outlet, you either have to buy the extension or you have to just get closer to an outlet, which, you know, something to note. But that's pretty much the biggest negatives of the 2018. It's a great laptop, powerful laptop, Apple's best MacBook Pro they've ever made. But which one should you buy? Personally, if I was to talk to anybody about this, and as long as they aren't editing for like a very important client that needs, like, that shoots in 8K, etc., I would say go with the 2015. Because a lot of what you do on a computer can be done on the 2015 MacBook Pro perfectly fine. Yes, it's a little bit older hardware. Yes, you can get the 2013 MacBook Pro, but the SSD is a little bit slower in that, and we're talking about 2015 in this video, so. But I'm gonna say, get the 2015 MacBook Pro. If you need way more power, and you just need that, you need the extra cores, you need the extra heat on your lap, you want to burn your skin, go with the 2018 MacBook Pro. The graphics card is better, the CPU is better, everything's better about it, etc., etc. But I've used etc., etc. a lot today. I'm gonna leave those in though. But you do need to keep in mind the inherent failures with the 2018 are going to remain present for a very long time, while the 2015 doesn't really have any noticeable failures. I mean, there's the screen peeling issue, but you're going to get down to the 2018 MacBook Pro. So I would say lean towards the 2015, especially because of the price, and really you don't need the performance that the 2018 MacBook Pro can give you, and the keyboard reliability really scares me. I hope they fix it in the 2019, but at the end of the day, like, there are a lot of failures that are happening with the 2018 MacBook Pro, and that laptop isn't even a year old yet, so I can't really suggest buying that at all, even compared to a 2017 or 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013. The 2016 through 2018 MacBook Pros, while they're good machines, I'm really hesitant to suggest purchasing one of those just because of a lot of the failures that has happened. So what do you guys think about the 2015 versus 2018 MacBook Pro? While it's obviously a pretty cut and dry explanation that 2018 is more powerful by that one, it's a little bit more in depth than that, and I hope you guys were willing to watch this video with an open mind, and that's it. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. This has been Scott with Techno Eclipse. Peace out.